There is a discussion emerging again, after a few years of quiet, about what culture actually is. Csaba Toth, in Forbes magazine, has put forward a really interesting perspective challenging us to consider intercultural conflict in the context of the interpersonal. I wanted to discuss further 2 points that Csaba makes. Firstly, the author asserts that we are members of 15 to 20 cultures. I would argue that given that each of us is a unique combination of experiences, influences and backgrounds, we belong to a near infinite number of cultural groupings. Culture is dynamic and constantly changing, and our membership of cultural groups is similarly unstable. Secondly, I would argue that those groupings are porous and amorphic. Trying to define the edges of a cultural group is like trying to herd cats. One of the most difficult topics to address is that of national culture. How can we define a nation of 1.6 billion people such as India or China in one single way? Can we even say that the citizens of Luxembourg or Vanuatu have identical values and beliefs? If so, we could save money on democracy, because every election would have the same 100% support for the same candidate every time. In research from applied linguistics, we can see that when two strangers meet for the first time, they begin to negotiate the rules and practices that govern their interaction, which language they speak, personal space, levels of politeness and formality, who is able to end the conversation, and a million other things that are often taken for granted but are nevertheless essential to maintain understanding. This is a cultural group. If a third person joins the conversation, the rules need to be revised. The first cultural group is dissolved and a new one created. Imagine you're at a work social event. You're talking to the head of a different department about a possible move to work with them. You don't know each other very well, so the conversation is quite formal. She is more senior than you, so you know that she could easily change the topic or move to talk to someone else, without it being impolite. It's not easy for you to move away politely. After a couple of minutes, her partner joins the conversation. Suddenly the conversation is social, light and informal. Now it is absolutely fine for you to make an excuse and move away. In fact, it may even be encouraged. Even values and beliefs are not as rigid as we might think. Even at the most simplistic level, every religion has some form of conversion experience, a moment when a seeker rejects what they believed and valued yesterday and accepts a new belief and value set. But it is even more complicated than that. My wife has a very flexible attitude to time. She is comfortable being late and will invest time in relationships, regardless of what that does for her schedule. However, this cultural value vanishes quicker than you can say millisecond when it comes to our children. If she says she wants them home by 10 p.m., 10.01 might as well be next year. To share some of the blame, I'm a firm believer in flat hierarchies. However, parents must always have the last word in any discussion. When I say bedtime, it is not open to negotiation. It turns out that our fundamental values are in fact negotiable and dependent on context. Subscribe for more, and visit countrynavigator.com for full blogs.